How's everybody doing out there? You guys doing good? Thank you for coming out. I know it's a long way from most of you for coming out, but thank you so much for supporting Power Morphicon and supporting the guests. So without you, wouldn't go. So all right, so it looks like we're ready to go. This is the 15 years anniversary of Power Rangers RPM. All right, let's see. Who we got? Milo Cawthorn, Ika Darvale, Dan Ewing, Mike Jin, Lee Ming Yu, Adelaide Kane. Welcome. All right, let's start this panel.
I did my best.
All right, for the guests, what was it like for you guys to be on the show? Like, what was your first take-in experience when you guys booked the role for Power Rangers RPM?
I was delivering pizzas at the time, and it was a bad job. And I once delivered pizzas to this person. He was only wearing a towel. And and it was like it was like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and most people were like, "Hey, how are you? Like, thanks for the pizza." And I was like, "Here's your pizza." And this guy just had a towel on, and he just goes, "Ooh, pizza, pizza, pizza." And that's all he said. And I was like, "Wow, I really need to quit this job." And soon after that, I got a call from Mr. Eddie Gazillion.
Right here.
And he was just so excited to shoot the show. He was so excited for Ziggy the character, and I was like, this is my ladder out of this hellhole. And it was true. It was great. It truly was. Quitting that job was so much fun, and doing the show was so much fun. Yeah, that was my experience of my first experience. Anybody else?
How else can we top that? You just never fail to blow my mind. I mean, yeah, the experience of Rangers was one of the funnest experiences that I've still ever had on a show. And some of these people are just amazing humans that we've stayed in contact with. Eddie and Maddie here, who were producers and creators of the show. Yeah. They are still dear friends and take care of all of us like their children, and yeah, we're so grateful for the whole experience. So, Ranger Crew forever.
Hi, I'm Dan. I'll zig a little bit. See that? Jimmy Ryder. I was on a holiday when I found out the amazing news of booking the job of Dylan. Is there any kids in the audience? Oh, gosh. It was a good 3 seconds after the throes of passion, ladies and gentlemen, that I found out that I booked Dylan. That's just the honest answer. I'm sorry. I wish I could tell you something different, but...
So we were living pretty similar lives then. Yeah. Okay, so kind of similar, yeah. Okay, that's cool.
I was in the UK, it was a great time, but it was... Yeah, Mike?
Why are you looking at me? I wasn't even a Power Ranger. You go.
Miss Adelaide. I'll go first. It's funny because a few years earlier, I came very close to getting the role of the Pink Ranger. I can't remember what series. A few years, really close, down to the last 2. And so I thought, okay, that was my shot. And so it was really cool a few years. And then I'd done acting classes previous, and I was actually in an acting class with Mike. That's the first time we met. And then, 5 years later, I get to work with Mike as Mike's twin. So it was an unexpected, very pleasant surprise.
Yeah, I think for me, just the whole experience of before, during, and after, I can vividly remember, and it's I remember doing the audition with Li Ming, and another girl, and then I thought, oh yeah, Li Ming, she was really good and really good at that. Yeah, and then I was just at home in my bed, and when I got told, it was like, that was really cool.
I love you, Mike. You just jogged my memory on one.
And even though you're not a Power Ranger, would love to hear your experiences too.
Oh, thanks. Don't mind if I do. I went in for Yellow Ranger and got beat out by the wonderful Rose McIver. And then Eddie was like, you'd be a great bitch. No, a great villain. And brought me back on to play Tanaya. And I remember being like, oh, shit, I have to move away from home. Because I think I was like 17, 18 at the time. I'd never lived away from home. I didn't know how to cook or how to do my own laundry. I didn't know how to do anything. And it was a little different the way we shot it. Like the Rangers kind of did all of their stuff, and then I worked with our all-Japanese stunt team in like the costumes. And by the end of the season, they were sort of reading the lines in Japanese, and I would have to memorize where I came in for my lines in English. And it was a lot of fun. I will say that visor was completely painted over. So all the stunts you see, all the fights you see with that visor on, I had about 2 inches of visibility down the bottom, and I was blind. The amount of people I kicked in the head is... I'm really glad that New Zealand isn't a litigious country, because I would have gotten sued. But it was really an incredible time, and it's the job that got me my US visa and allowed me to move here. So it really was sort of the beginning of the end, as it were. And I'll forever be grateful to Eddie and Maddie for that. They also let me live in their guest house in their backyard for 6 months when I moved here and taught me how to drive. So Power Rangers RPM set me up for the life that I have had.
Favorite memories or episodes from the show?
I've blacked it out. I remember the worst day on set. Let's start with the worst, and we'll slowly get better. The worst day on set was when we had the Go-Onja camper van, and they got like was it the same van? It was like an extreme replica, if not the same van. And we did a whole day. It was like the height of summer, so it was like 28 degrees in Fahrenheit. I don't know what that is. Let's say 200. And I think I've done those calculations right. And they were like, yeah, we're going to get some really massive lights. I'm going to blast those in there. And all the windows have to be up. And we were just like sweating from like 8 o'clock in the morning.
Rangers never take their jackets off. Just so you know.
And I just remember that day, because mostly we all got on pretty good, but that day, oh man, we were there was some harsh words spoken. That was probably the worst day on set. Everything else was quite nice. There was some lovely days in Auckland City, out front of this big arena, pretending to be Japan and trying to recreate some Japanese footage. I remember one day it was super hot, so me and Ika, there was like a paddling pool. Do you remember this? Do you remember the...
Please.
There was a little paddling pool. Trust me, this really happened. There was a little paddling pool in the studio, but we weren't allowed to use it. But we managed to sneak in there, and we got caught, and then we had to get ready for the next shot. But that was a nice day. In a paddling pool with Ika Tarvel. It was nice. That was a nice day.
You know what's funny is you all used to complain about your leather jackets in the heat all the time.
Yeah, right.
And
Fair
I
enough.
was in the dark purple metallic spandex and a wig, a full black wig, every single day.
I remember that wig.
And you used to complain about your jackets, and then the one day an episode that you would be in your costumes, it was like you were dying. And I was like, this is every day for me. Harden up.
I remember that wig giving you grief as well. That wig was gnarly, bro.
It was intense. It
Yeah.
was heavy. That wig it had its own like trailer. It was a child. It was like 10 pounds of wig.
Yeah, it was massive.
It was insanity. Oh, you want to talk about heat? We can talk about heat all day.
But I think, I don't know, do all the Rangers always get to wear their suits? Do they always have an appearance in their suits? Because it was pretty exciting, I think, for Mike and I to get to wear the suits a couple of times, because, you know, there's a strict rule that, you know, only the stunt people can wear the helmets and do the stuff. And so for us to actually get to wear the spandex was really exciting.
Yeah, it always looked like a lot more shiny and cool because the stuntable one would be all, you know, like scuffed and everything. So it was cool being in a, like, pristine kind of suit.
Shiny suit.
Yeah, shiny. Gold and silver.
I also remember it was, I was the most uncoordinated person out of the whole bunch. Like, I remember day one of like stunt training camp, and they were like, so are you guys experienced with stunts? And I was like, everyone was like, nah, not really, not really. And then Ika's like doing handstand push-ups. Ari's like, yeah, I did gym for like 6 years. He's doing backflips. Dan did like basketball. Everyone was like so coordinated. And I was like, oh man. So like, any time that I actually got to do like throw one punch and in the suit was like, whoa, yeah, I did it. Because so often they'll be like, that's great, Milo. Let's get the stunty in. Let's get him to redo everything. So I have good memories of like occasionally getting to throw a punch and being like, yeah.
I'll second that, yeah. My favourite episode and time was when we got to be in the suits and actually do those fight sequences. Thank you guys for writing that in, because I think we are the only Rangers that got to do like an unmasked, suited fight sequence. And yeah, that was like my little boy inside had his little dream come true. I was like, yeah, I've made it. I'm the Red Ranger.
Episode 1, they made me get a spray tan.
And you've never stopped since.
Here's the thing. I don't know why a kid show, like all I was showing was my face. But they said, no, we're just gotta be safe. So I had to get a spray tan, not in a beauty studio where I used to get them, on a beach, in a tent.
That's right.
Episode 1. Thank you very much. But it was great. That spray tan has propelled me to be the tanning ambassador for, for United Spray Tans New Zealand. But it was great. Did we ever solve why I had to get a spray tan? No, that's Hollywood, baby. Right to me.
All right, for the merchandise, what was it like seeing your action figures in stores? Was that something you guys were, excited about, or?
Be more excited if I got paid every time one of them got sold.
I don't remember ever seeing my figure in a store, because do they sell the figures in New Zealand?
Yeah, they have them.
Okay, I wasn't going to the right stores. But I remember someone shipped me a figurine soon after it came out, and that was pretty surreal. Yeah, that was a surreal experience, because it is kind of like a weird thing to see like a little miniature version of yourself.
Yeah, and I've got kids, and so my kids like play with my little figurines of different characters and stuff that I've played, and that's like kind of awesome because they think I'm cool, and I'm gonna ride that train as long as it lasts for like a few more years.
I didn't get a figurine.
Sad story at the end of this table every time. We still love you.
If they were asking you to come back to the show, your character, would you reprise your roles?
I'm the only one who's actually already answered that question and said yes.
I said yes, but then something else came up. There was something else that I was like, oh, I'm really keen. But it was going to be like for one day, and it was maybe just going to be my voice. And I was like, I would really love to like be there in the person on set. So I was going to do it, and then I had a scheduling conflict, and I was like, I can't really for one day, but I would love to go back into the world. It was so much fun.
So much fun. It would be so cool.
I got to go back for Dimensions in Danger. And yeah, I was there. And that was a really amazing experience because I got to meet some of the original Rangers, right? And hang out with them in New Zealand. And yeah, it was really special. And yeah, but it was weird being there without Mike, without Jim, you know what I mean? And so we had to make up this, I know it wasn't mentioned, but we made up this backstory, and I had some, why Jim and Gemma had some, were living their own lives. Yeah.
like to hear that one day, like what it was. Does anyone here know Power Rangers Hyperforce? Okay, cool. So yeah, I did get to come back as Jim for that, as you guys know. So what I would say to that is, the thing I learned from that was, the character of Jim was really accessible to reach. It surprised me how easy it was to drop back into his skin. That really caught me off guard, but I was like pleasantly surprised with that. But yeah, that was cool. That was a really cool experience.
I'd be game. I haven't been asked, but I'd be game. I'd either want to be like an absolutely insane supervillain that commits atrocities, or Pink Ranger.
Before you guys booked the role, did you guys watch any of the previous seasons prior to booking RPM?
I got a story on this one. So, as a kid, we had a sugarcane field right next to our school, and the coolest game that all the kids played was Power Rangers. And I was the only black kid in my whole school, and so I always had to be the Black Ranger. And so when Eddie called me up, I was like, "We got a pin in you for the Red Ranger." I was like, yes, take that, kids.
No, Ika, I feel that because, you know, when some people always expect me to be the Yellow Ranger. And so, yeah, it's really cool for me to go, actually, no, I was Silver. And they're like, wow, yeah, Silver Rangers, they're quite rare. So, yeah, I know what you mean.
I loved all the movies growing up. I loved Power Rangers when I was a kid. I always wanted to be the Black Ranger though, and I was never allowed because the Black Ranger was a boy. And I was like, but I think black looks better on me though. So, yeah, I grew up watching the movies. I think most of us were exposed to the movies.
I mean, who didn't grow up watching Power Rangers? Come on.
Like,
this is a staple.
And that's even in Australia, on the other side of the planet. Like Power Rangers was a real phenomena globally. And we don't really have that kind of global phenomenon anymore because of the accessibility of everything. Like even Harry Potter, I'd say, was the last like really, really sort of big one for kids. But yeah, I don't know. Everybody knew Power Rangers everywhere, in our generation at least.
Yeah.
No, I will say that in New Zealand, past Mighty Morphin, they actually cancelled the show. Milo.
Well, apparently it was too violent in New Zealand.
Yeah, what? They had Mighty Morphin, and then we didn't get any subsequent seasons. Yeah, exactly. But we did get the Turbo movie as well. But we didn't actually know of like all the other subsequent seasons because of New Zealand. They banned it. So.
What about you, Dan? Are you a Rangers fan?
Any kids?
I fucking love Power Rangers, man. That was the best.
Oh my god. Who didn't? I had figurines, I had the outfits, it was great. It's an institution, so we're so grateful to sit up here with all you guys. You know, it's fantastic.
What's your experience like doing these meet and greets all over the world, like from Morphicon to all these other shows? You know, when they ask you to come out and do a meet and greet, what's your feelings and experience like with the fans? Is it like surreal as far as, you know, the fact that your show's been off the air and, you know, the franchise is still going?
It's definitely because Power Rangers didn't have a huge, because it wasn't on TV in New Zealand, you would be like, people would be like, what are you working on? And you're like, Power Rangers, and they're like, they still making that? They're like, I don't remember you from when I used to watch it when I was 7. And I was like, no, they've been making it, like, they're still going on. So in New Zealand, you're just met with confusion. And so it was a true shock to have, like, I had no idea of the breadth and of the fan base and like how massive it is, how incredibly like dedicated the fans are. Your guys' memories shock me. I remember it was literally like, whoa, this is like another level. I remember I got a handwritten letter from a fan. And I was like, the handwriting, I was like, it's like a lovely little girl or something. Like, she's written me this lovely letter. It had stickers and stuff. And she said, check me out on Bebo. I was like, that's so lovely. That's so nice. And so I logged onto Bebo, and she wasn't a little girl. She was like 45, and I was like, this is strange. And she had on, I'm not sure, I'm showing my age, but Bebo, you had it was like Facebook, you had a wall of stuff, and she had made herself a Bebo account that was my character, Ziggy, and then she was having conversations between herself and Ziggy, and it was like, and Ziggy would write on her wall and be like, her name was Stacy, the Pink Ranger, and Ziggy would come onto a wall with a picture of me and be like, Stacy, I love you. Let's run away together. And I was like, whoa, okay, like this is another level of fandom. That was the most intense experience, but it's like, that's the 0.001%, like, whoa. Everything else has been amazing. Truly, there is something, I was at a Comic-Con in Australia recently, and the same goes for here. There's like an atmosphere where like, it's one of the only environments where you can truly come as you are. Like, you can totally fly your freak flag, what you love the most, you dress up, doesn't matter what you look like, doesn't matter what you're into, it's like, you'll be accepted, and there's something really beautiful about that, and that struck me in Australia and here. I was like, it's unusual for that to be like, so widely accepted, for someone to be so passionate about something, and it's like, it's lifted up. So I think that's a really cool thing about the fandom, and especially Power Rangers. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll second that. This is only my... Sorry.
We don't have time.
This is the second time I've done one of these, and I was really taken aback this morning of just like the genuine care. A lot of people have been coming up and know things about my life that are quite personal, and just the fact that we're able to have an impact in some of your worlds is such a gift and an honor, and we're so grateful that we get to be here, and that this amazing fun thing that we got to do has had such a profound impact on your guys' lives. So thank you all, and I'm just super grateful to be here.
I find it really fortunate that because of Eddie and Maddie, RPM has been actually received really well in the community, it seems, because it's cool to really hear from your experiences that you guys really enjoyed RPM. And, when we were making, or when I was making it, you didn't think that far, and then you get to hear the stories later, and it's just really, really cool. So, yeah, thanks for sharing. It's really appreciated.
I was a nerd and a geek in school and in high school, so like fandom is not something that's ever been unfamiliar to me. Whether you had a Tumblr blog about your favorite anime character, or whether you did RPG role-playing with a friend as Kingdom Hearts characters, or whatever it is that you were into. I think the really beautiful thing about fandom is that it does give you an ability to communicate and connect with like-minded people. I think Power Rangers has really offered an escape and connection for many people for decades and decades and decades and decades. And it is really heartwarming, and it's really special to be involved with a show, especially so young when I didn't know nothing about nothing. That resonated so deeply, and like props need to be given for all of these wonderful people for their work, and for Eddie and Maddie and their incredible writing and bringing us all in and bringing us all together. And it truly blows my mind that like 16 years later, we can still come here and see and hear about the impact that a show we did when we were just kids really impacted people's lives, and that's fucking awesome. It's a beautiful thing about fandom, in my opinion. It's great. Love it.
let's open up the floor to some questions from the fans. Please line up right here.
Watch all the questions go to me. Like.
What's all the questions going to
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Bring them up.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm Vince from La Habra.
Hello. Hello, Vince.
Hey. There. My question is that you got to do one of the most unique episodes of Power Rangers, which was the behind-the-scenes episodes.
Yes.
And my question is, was there anything that you wanted to see expanded upon or something that didn't get as much light?
Yeah, why are there explosions happening behind you when you morph? Seriously.
This is, Eddie could elaborate on this question more than I could, but I know that Eddie wanted the behind the scenes to be a lot more detailed. And he wanted us to go into the costume truck and kind of interview different members of the crew and kind of show you how the show was made. And it was kind of slightly altered to his vision. Is this is correct, Eddie? Yeah. I'm getting this. I'm paraphrasing here. But I think originally the behind-the-scenes episode was going to be a lot more detailed, and it was going to be slightly more real and slightly more like an actual documentary. I love the behind-the-scenes episode, but I think I would have been really interested to take it in Eddie's direction and make it like a real thorough look at like how it gets made. I was really keen on doing that. So yeah, it was kind of we kind of had a strange mix of the two. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay. Huh? Okay. My name is Etienne. I'm from San Bernardino.
Welcome.
My question is for Ziggy. So you kind of had like a chemistry going on with Dr. K. And, you know, after a while, you kind of like charmed your way into her heart. Well, I think you did. Do you think that, where do you think that you and Dr. K would be today, if you guys got together or something like that?
Well, I know we were planning on starting was it like an orphanage for children, if I remember correctly?
Yes.
Pardon? It was a preschool, yes, as I previously mentioned, a preschool. And I was going to teach them, I was going to do like cooking. So I think we'd probably, to this day, if we were still, Dr. K and Ziggy would be running that. I reckon they'd have a few preschools set up nationwide. It'd be a heavy emphasis on nuclear physics from Dr. K, and then some really beautiful like Tex-Mex cooking from myself, some good nacho recipes, lasagna.
Shadow puppets? Yes. Well, Ziggy promised, Ziggy delivers.
Thanks for your question. So great.
Good afternoon. My name's Nathan, and I got a comment, and then I got a question. As for you all arguing about who can handle the heat better, it's nearing 12, it's probably very hot. If you really want to test who can handle the heat better, you should challenge each other to stand outside and see who could handle it the most.
Is that a challenge?
I'm not entering that competition.
Well, it's between you guys, since you were arguing about that whole heat thing. And the question, as in the third episode, Rain, yeah, they put Dylan through all these tests to see if he was actually Ranger eligible physically, in a sense. How did Ziggy get passed through it?
You are cold, my dude.
Not just in a mocking.
I don't know if you've ever worked in an office, but they have this thing called a personality hire, where they bring a little bit of flavor. So I think maybe that's how Ziggy like weaseled his way past those tests.
Or maybe Ziggy was just secretly built.
Yeah, maybe he was. Maybe he was. That's what I like to believe, secretly. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Noam from Israel. And my question is for Mike and Lee Min. How hard was it to do the double act of finishing each other's sentences as actors? Because that looks and appears to be just hell.
It was really hard.
Was it really? Was it really? Because the thing was, a lot of people don't know, don't remember. I usually, at the start of the season anyway, I started the
Yeah, and
sentences.
so it was
then
hardest for me,
It was all on
right?
her, basically, to get the timing
Yeah.
to sound natural. But you did a really good job, I gotta
And
say.
then, sometimes you just want to be your own person and you want to say like a whole sentence, and I just never got the chance.
Yeah.
So yes, it was hard.
For you.
For me.
Yeah. Well, no, you did it, but still, you did a really
Yeah,
good job. I had no idea it was
and
difficult.
Mike was really you were really great at like practicing, and
Yeah.
it was fun.
Anytime you
And-
wanted to rehearse, I'd be
And it
yes.
seems to have made made an impression, something people remember. So that's cool.
Thank you.
Thank you. Cool. Thank you, man.
Morning. My name is Colin, SoCal born and bred. Don't really have a question, more just a statement. I know that back in the day, the big couple was Dylan and Summer. They were the one who ended up together, but 16 years later, my money, it still should have been Scott and Dylan. It still should have been Scott and Dylan.
It could still happen.
But it was more than a bromance. You need to drop that B.
If walls could talk, Colin, if walls could talk.
Well, we shot the
That's a different series, my guy.
subtext.
I'm Tyler from Baltimore. RPM was kind of shuffled out the door in the States. What do you think gave it so much staying power, made it a fan favorite despite everything that was up against it?
Eddie Gazillion, and Maddie doing the work that they do. Seriously, that's it.
Yeah, I think the world building that Eddie did and the characters and the way they all interacted, and he started out with the thing of like, we need to age this up, we need to go darker, it needs to become, meaner, seriouser if we want to engage people, and so I think that worked. Yeah.
I also think that the levity of like Power Rangers it's such an iconic and well understood formula. And Eddie, I think, was the first person to be able to like kind of put a mirror up to itself and be able to make fun of itself a little bit, which I think is really fun for those of us who still love it as the little child inside, but then also as like our adult minds that can enjoy it. So.
But that was Maddie's episode. Maddie's episode is one of my favorite. I think it's Ranger Blue's backstory, and it's the oft quoted about the big fireballs behind us. And I think that's exactly what you're speaking about, because there's something like winking at the audience, which I think Power Rangers maybe didn't have a lot of before that.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Whoa.
Thank you. My name is Nick from here in California. First, I want to say your guys' season is my all-time favorite. Ever since I first came out with it. And I have to thank you guys because for years I was trying to convince my wife to watch Power Rangers. And it took until I said, hey, there's a season where they take it just a little bit more seriously than the average season. And she loved it. I was so excited. She loved it. And I have to ask my question for specifically Milo and Ika, because you were her favorites. Especially because I gotta know, what was it like filming the fight scene in the park with the baby stroller?
Was that were you catching babies? And stuff?
No, that was the day that they literally almost killed a stuntie. Do you
Bro,
remember?
off the slide.
Yes, off the slide. That was so brutal.
That was freaky.
It was the wildest, still to this day, the wildest stunt sequence that I've ever seen in a thing. They kicked this young Japanese stuntie named Hirokazu off of the top of a thing, and he jumped backwards and then landed upside down on his neck as a grinder on the slide, and then fell off, and then he got up and it was bad. I was like, oh no, where's Hirokazu? And then he was just kind of gone for a little while, but he did come back. He did come back eventually, but it was that was a terrifying day.
Well, I remember the Japanese stunt team. The whole thing was no days off. You come in no matter what. And so it was a big deal because Hirokazu had a day off and everyone was like, whoa, that's serious. The other thing I remember from that was my stunt double, they showed me the sequence and he was like, okay, so you grab onto this little flying fox thing. And I think he had the mum in his left hand and then he was doing a one-arm pull-up on the flying fox. And they're like, all right, man, so where you go? And I was like, okay. And like, I could barely hold on to the lady. And then this arm just immediately gave way. So I was just dragging this woman across the ground. And I was like, oh, and we couldn't like, he was like so fit. And I was like, you could literally see like my tiny little arm, like, ah. I don't know how, I think that we just used the stunt double footage for that. That's my memory of that day.
Thank you.
My son, I will just say on that, like my son, he's just about to turn 7, and I've shown him that exact fight sequence, and he was like, "Was that me in the?"
Some home video.
No,
it's an old home video.
It's not real.
Because I like catch it. It's like flying in the air.
Throwing the child around. I'm like, I'm not that negligent. Don't worry, you're fine.
Hello, my name's Alonzo from DC. My question's for Adeline. So how's the role of NPR different from being the new group of interns in Grey's Anatomy, and how's it working with Ellen Pompeo?
I mean, you would think there would be significantly less violence, but that's not really the case. One, the costume's a lot more comfortable on Grey's. I'm in sneakers, a sports bra and scrubs instead of a skin-tight catsuit and wedge heels. It's a lot more comfortable. A lot less fighting, fist fighting, which I do miss, if I'm being completely honest. I do miss being paid to hit people occasionally. That would be nice. But they're very different. Like Power Rangers is genre, you know. It's like superhero stuff. It's like yeah. You get to go into ADR and do these efforts for 3 hours, and it's just very different style of show. I think now that I'm older, we don't need to talk about how much older. I don't think I could do the kind of like stunts and physicality required of Power Rangers now. But don't put that out there. And by the same token, I don't think I could do the kind of like emotional work I do on Grey's when I was 18 years old with that life experience. They're very different projects. Every project I've been on has been quite markedly different from the last. And like all beautiful and wonderful memories in their own way. Yeah. I miss Power Rangers mostly because I miss being able to sleep for 6 hours, fight all day, and still look like I just woke up. I miss that very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jackson. I'm from Southern California, born and raised. Kind of cheating a bit with 2 questions, but the second one's a lot easier. But first off, if you guys had to come back in any season or have a crossover with anyone or any other team, who would it be? I know Scott was able to kind of have a voice role in Samurai, but just like in general, besides that.
I watched a little bit of Jungle Fury just before I think after I got the role, so I was like, I better watch some of the latest seasons, see what it's like. And I actually don't know his name.
What was his name?
David Delator? His character's name? RJ. But I think RJ and Ziggy would get on quite well. And I think they would make a good duo, so I would love to go into the Jungle Fury world and do something with RJ.
It's a good pick.
I'm going to be probably a little cliche and go for the original because that was the one I grew up watching, and I just think it would be so cool to get to play with them because, yeah, OG.
And second shorter question is, do you guys have the jackets or did you steal them from the set?
Ika?
All right, I'm going to tell the story. It's long enough. It's been 16 years. They can get over it. We at the end of the shoot, they weren't going to give us the jackets. We really wanted the jackets. They've been custom designed for us, and they were going to go sit in a shipping container somewhere in the industrial estate of New Zealand. And so we took it upon ourselves to borrow them permanently. And me and Milo snuck in to go get the jackets, and we took our jackets, and then we're like, well, they'll know it was just us because ours was just missing. So So then we took everyone's and we anonymously mailed them to them. And I'm sorry, Disney, but...
All right, thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
And that concludes our panel with the Power Rangers RPM 15th anniversary. Thank you for coming out, and this is it.
Can I get a round of applause for Eddie and Maddie?
Eddie and
The
Maddie.
whole reason we're
thank
here, we wouldn't be here
We
without
got
them.
Eddie over here. He was behind the scenes, being an executive director, writer.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone. I'm only going to be here
Thanks
for
for
today,
coming.
so if you are planning on coming to say hi, come see me today. I'll not be here tomorrow.
Get in while you can. RPM!
They'll be signing at the booths for selfies, autographs, so come through and get them now.